The most heartbreaking thing I ever said to my dad during our alienation was, "I never want to see you again." And I can remember it as clear as day. It was in a letter. And this letter was in response to a variety of different grievances that I had, an entire laundry list of all the things that I thought that he had done wrong. And by that point, I felt like he hadn't done enough, and I was encouraged by the alienator and the regime that he hadn't done enough to give me the emotional validation that I needed. And so I was angry, I was frustrated, I was ready to just say the hell with all of it. And that's what I did in this message. I told him, "I never want to see you again." I said, "It's been 5 weeks since I've heard anything from you, and I am done." And this is really heartbreaking for 2 reasons. One is obvious. The second, I think, might surprise you. The first reason it was so heartbreaking is for my dad. You know, my dad, who had this precious little time with me that had been slowly shrinking due to alienation. There was no longer the multiple times a week and then the every other weekends. There wasn't even the weekend time. We were down by this point to 1 Sunday a month. And so I had been canceling, I had been coming up with reasons and excuses, so we weren't seeing each other. And this was before the time of email and text, so communication was different back then. There wasn't as much access as you would have now. And so to have me slam the door shut and say, "I never want to see you again," really was a final nail in the coffin of the time that we had to spend together. I was saying, I'm not even going to play this game of pretending and coming up with excuses of why I can't come this 1 time a month. It's over. It's done. And for alienated parents like yourself, if you can relate to this, you feel like any little bit of control you had, any little bit of hope that the next time and the next time and the next time, maybe I'll show up, maybe I'll be allowed to come on this parenting time and this visitation, all of a sudden, not only was that not going to happen, but the words coming out of my mouth were so final that I never wanted to see him again, that there wasn't any redeeming quality in that, right? And so it was really heartbreaking for my dad because of that finality. But I think the other surprising part, and which is what I always try to do, is bring the perspective of what was going on in my mind, is that it was also heartbreaking for me when I said that, because of the same finality. When you're an alienated child and you're at the whim of the alienator and the regime of what the expectation is and what the acceptable communication is, there is always that opportunity that, well, maybe next time. But then when next time would get coming, all of a sudden I would be told, "You don't want to go, you don't want to spend time, you're busy, you're working, you've got time with friends." And all of a sudden it would have been for me to stand up and say, "Well, no, I can do 1 day a month. It's okay. My friends can wait. I'm not that busy." That's really kind of an excuse. "No, I want to see Dad." But I wasn't strong enough to say that. I didn't have the courage or the perceived power to stand up to the alienator and the rest of my family. So I went along with it. And so by me speaking those words, and whether it was premeditated because, I was told to say that or encouraged to say that, or even in that moment of understandable anger and frustration that I had about what the wrongdoings that my dad had done to me were, when I said those things, there was a finality. And with an alienator, if they can get you to say that you're going to do this, if they can get the child to say this, they hold them to it. So if you thought it was hard, or if I thought it was hard for me to say, "Well, maybe I do want to see Dad," it felt like there was no coming back. Once I said I'm done with him, I never want to see him again, that was what it was going to be. That was the rule. That was the law of the land. And so I can remember these mix of emotions. There was no relief in it. There was a temporary silence because I didn't have to hear, "Oh, you have to go and he's making you go and he's forcing you, and then when you go, it's a terrible time." Yes, there was a temporary reprieve from the negativity that was told to me, but I didn't feel a sense of relief. I felt a sense of emptiness, a sense of finality to it. And it was also heartbreaking for my dad and I. We actually had something in common, and that was that the story had won. The story against him had won. He was on the out. I was the one who did it. I was the one that severed the relationship. Wasn't the alienator. I had to take responsibility for that. And so I built up that story of why he deserved it, why I did the right thing. I certainly got the support from the rest of my family that this was the right thing to do, but it didn't feel good. It felt horrible. And I would drift into those thoughts of the good time, the Sunday breakfast that would never happen, the golf outings that we had good times. That was over. That was done. I said it. And so at the same time, if you were to have a camera on both me and my dad, as terrible and awful as I was, me being the one that was rejecting him, we were in the exact same situation. We were probably closer then than we had ever been before because we were both sad. We both felt like we were helpless, couldn't do anything. My dad tried and couldn't find a way. I was thinking in my head, if I try these things, if I stand up, I'm going to get in trouble. So here we both were, sad, helpless, feeling hopeless. It was done, it was over, thinking about the same memories that would never happen again, thinking about the missed opportunities. My dad would go on to wonder, how did things go? How is school? How are my activities? And I would sit there and go, I can't tell my dad about this cool thing that happened at school. I can't brag about these things that I'm doing in my extracurricular. And there is something that breaks inside of you when you feel like telling a parent good news, sharing your life with a parent is no longer an available opportunity to you. And yet, I'm alive, my dad is alive, but it's not an option. So all of that emotion that I had, yes, I turned it inward because it's a lot easier to be angry. It's a lot easier to be like, you jerk, you're terrible, and having a choir of people saying, yes, you're right, Ryan, you did the right thing. But it is no comfort when you are missing your parent. It was no comfort to my dad that I was sitting and thinking about and missing him. Because he didn't know it. He didn't see it. We couldn't commiserate together. We couldn't both say, wow, isn't this a terrible situation that we're involved in? Don't you feel helpless? Don't you feel like there's nothing we can do and yet we love each other? No, we didn't have that. And so what a heartbreaking, what a stupid, unnecessary string of events in life. What a horrible waste of time and energy when we could have been doing things. We could have been working things out, talking about it. Even if there was some harsh words, even if there was some uncomfortable silence, we could have worked through it. And yet it didn't happen. And so I wanted to bring this and share this with you because as parents who can't see, as alienated parents who can't see what's going on, and you're just getting the venom and the hate, and you're feeling like, wow, I'm the only one apparently that remembers the good times. I'm the only one that's missing someone in this dynamic, and here my child is with these terrible, vicious things that they're saying, and there seems to be a finality to it. Your child is in there. Your child remembers. Now, of course, over the course of time, those memories and those emotions, those good emotions, they get covered up. That's the alienator's job. You don't need that person. Get rid of them. And so it becomes a little out of thought, out of mind, but it's still in there. And those fires can still be stoked. Those light bulbs can still be turned on that says, wait a minute, this whole thing is unnecessary. So I wanted to share that story with you because it was really heartbreaking for both my dad and myself, and I thought that was really important. So as always, if you are a parent that's going through this heartbreak and you want to know ways that you can try everything you can to reach your child and do something to help create those light bulb moments, there's a link below this video where you can learn more about getting help from me. So I'm Ryan Thomas. Thank you so much, and I will see you on another video.
Hey, it's Ryan Thomas. Thanks so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel, and it also helps to spread the word. Be sure to watch other videos from this channel, and also check below this video for other resources and links to help.